Good morning, church family. My name is Liza, and I am from the family of the Vicedos, and here I am today to share with you a few experiences related to God's care and to His guidance. The first experience I have to share is related to at work. Sometimes when I'm going to the staff room or coming in and out of the bathroom, there would be people walking from behind me, so sometimes I would go and hold the door and wait for them to pass by. And sometimes they would do the same for me. Another way that I show God's care is through greeting customers. My manager had me once stand up in front of the workplace, and while greeting them, I would be holding a cleaning cloth and cleaning spray, and I'd ask patients who were wearing glasses if they needed their glasses cleaned. Some of them responded by saying, "Sure, yes, please." And there was even a woman who gave me her glasses right away because she was so ready to have them cleaned. Even with patients who weren't wearing glasses, I would come by and greet them as they went along, saying hello or have a good day. The next experience that I'd like to share with you is about God's guidance. When I first applied to work at Walmart, I had set my availability to throughout the whole week except for Saturday and Sunday. And then when I met my manager for the first day, we said how we would change my availability to the open week from Sunday all the way to Saturday. And then there was a day where I went to work, and then we discussed about my scheduling for the days that I'd work throughout the week. I saw that I was scheduled actually for a Saturday, and then I told her, "I'm sorry, I cannot work on Saturday because that is the day that I go to church." And then she asked me, "Not even on days where we have emergencies where employees not there?" And I said, "Sadly, no." And that was a way that I stood up for my faith. Some of the thoughts that I had going through my mind were, before I asked her about Saturday was, how would she react? Or if I told her that I can't work on Saturday, would this be the end of my job? But thankfully, she rescheduled my days, and I was able to work not on Saturday, but other days throughout the week. And those were some ways that God guided me throughout my life, especially when I got this job.
One of the most memorable moments I've had sharing Christ with other people is with hospital ministries. And I really wish that we still do it as often as we used to a few years back. And what happens is we would split off into groups into different levels of the hospital, and then we would be in groups, and somebody will have the guitar, other people will sing, somebody will have a Bible to read inspirational verse, and then somebody will pray. And of course, we all ask for permission, like we'll knock on the door, and if they say no, then we'll say, "Okay, have a good day, we'll move on." So there is this one man who was in his hospital bed, and he accepted us in, he let us sing, and what surprised us was that he started talking to us about his life after our songs, and he had tears down his eyes, and what he told us was, "I used to be in the military." He was explaining how he used to fight battles and stuff, and he's gone through the experience of killing people, but it's something like that is something that he's not proud of himself for. So he's carried years of self-hate and self-disappointment for many years, and I feel like that's a really heavy burden. So then he told us how for many years after that, he's been thinking of himself as a monster, and he's never forgiven himself. So after our visit and our songs and our company with him, he said that he was finally able to forgive himself and no longer see him as a monster because he himself feels forgiven. And so another experience I have, I'd say at school, there's this class that I have. It's Introduction to AutoCAD. AutoCAD is basically like a computer software that architects and engineers use for drawing like blueprints and stuff on the computer. And it's kind of hard to learn in the class if you're not really experienced with using a computer. So next to me there is this lady, and she's a grandmother, and I personally think that you never stop learning, so I think it's great that she's there. But what happens is the teacher, when she does her demonstration, once she starts, she doesn't stop. So when you miss a step, the more steps you miss, the harder it is to catch up, because even if you answer questions, she'll say that she won't repeat steps until after she's done with the whole process. So her name is, well, I won't say her name, but whenever she asks me how to do something, I'll help her. But then at the same time, I'm being left behind. So then that means I have to figure out myself how to catch up, but I'd rather help her catch up and be behind rather than me just leaving her in the dust. And so another experience of helping somebody, because I think it's important to, show Christ's character through your own, character and your actions. There's this other classmate of mine in the same class. She's in her 20s. She's really young, and she has a son that's like 4 years old. So then there is sometimes where she'll miss class, which is a big deal, because if you miss a whole drawing in class, it's hard to catch up because there are commands and processes that you haven't learned. So she'll miss class either because she couldn't find a babysitter for her son in time, or she had to take her son to the doctor. And I think it's great that she's putting him as a priority over herself. So I really admire that about her. So I offered her time at my own home at our free time so that I can help her catch up with the drawing and I can teach it to her. And so I'm really glad that I'm able to help her in that way too. Yeah.
For those who may not know, my name is Lionel. I am part of the Vicedo family, and I'm describing what it's like to be a Christian. First, school is one of the things that we go through. But some of us go or went to a public school. That means that there are other people with different religions or no religion at all. I learned to befriend many of these students. For example, last year, I had a friend named Marco. I didn't know anything about him besides the fact that he worships a different religion. But after my mom said, that's fine, I just have to be open to befriend him. Step by step, I learned that we had so much in common. He was one of the most reliable and trustworthy friends I have ever had. Another thing about being Christian is what we learn at home. My family taught me to be respectful, helpful, and considerate to the elderly. For example, I had an umbrella and I decided to help these women who had their hands full. Later, as I did this, I learned that it was fulfilling to what I like to do, and it helped me become more who I am.